What if strongholds changed depending on the biome they spawned in? I've been working on exactly that, creating desert, jungle, and swamp strongholds and filling them with trial spawners, custom traps, and unique end portals. There are only a few biomes left to add support for based on your input, and once I'm done, following your Eyes of Ender will be new and exciting each and every time. With the release of this video, the previous Swamp Stronghold has now been added to the public Biome Strongholds release, which you can download at the link in the description. Let's take a look at some of those previous biomes along with the vanilla stronghold to see what lessons can be learned without simply rehashing the same concepts. I want every stronghold to take things in new directions and feel truly special. Although the iconic vanilla stronghold is randomized based on a system very similar to the jigsaw blocks that we have to create custom structures now, it does have a couple of key features that we are replicating across all of my strongholds. First off, every biome stronghold features a starting staircase. This is what is considered the start of the structure that the rest of it branches out from, and is the part of the structure that the Eye of Ender points to. Of course, the ultimate purpose of the stronghold is to house the end portal room, which every stronghold has exactly one of. This is something that we're able to very closely replicate with the biome strongholds with jigsaw blocks, but it is a little bit tricky. I also want every biome stronghold to be more than just a reskin, both of the vanilla stronghold as well as one another. And so while some biome strongholds do feature a library room, very similar to the vanilla strongholds library, the layout and how it's constructed is very different. This one in particular features a special puzzle, just like much of the jungle stronghold does. Whereas other strongholds, like the Ocean Stronghold, may not have a library room at all and instead have a different kind of large or special room that can be found throughout. I also want every stronghold's navigation to be different from one another and also complicated while still learnable. It should be difficult to tell exactly where you are in the stronghold, but over time, you'll be able to learn how the various strongholds are put together if you put in the time and the effort so that you can navigate your way from the starting staircase to the portal room with great consistency. I'm not necessarily trying to punish speedrunners here. And lastly, since I'm taking the time to rebuild the stronghold from scratch with every biome, I also want to take this opportunity to update the structure with new features and mechanics. This includes adding new vanilla features like trial spawners and trial vaults to help populate the stronghold and give it more replayability, as well as adding new custom data pack features like the portal keys that are used here in the snowy stronghold. With all these goals in mind, let's get started on the next biome stronghold, the Forest Stronghold. It took me a little while to come up with a block palette and a design for those blocks that I felt worked for the Forest Stronghold, but I think this is going to turn out pretty nice. We have a couple of our more basic structures here to kind of illustrate and get a sense of what the stronghold will ultimately look like. Of course, we have the starting staircase that we're going to start from. The corridors here are where the block palette really starts to shine, I think. I'm using stone bricks with a polished granite trim, and then we have a bunch of ribs of oak logs that I think are probably going to carry over through many of the different room and complex designs. And then on the ceiling, we have the continuation of those oak log ribs, as well as oak leaves all across the ceiling. And as you can see, this creates a really cool effect with these new leaf particles. And I think I'm going to make sure that this is carried on throughout the entire stronghold. It's going to feel much more eerie and spooky, but also kind of natural and alive, much more than any of the previous strongholds. Of course, along with the various corridors, we also have some downward staircases going to the left and to the right, as well as a straight downward staircase, very similar to the one that you can find in the vanilla stronghold. And I've also built the first complex here. I'm thinking that the Forest Stronghold is going to be kind of similar to the Snowy Stronghold in that it's going to feature more destination complexes. So the complexes aren't necessarily going to be particularly maze-like, they are going to feel more like larger rooms with unique features in them. And this one, the garden, has this big, nice kind of conservatory section in the middle that you can see from all of these sort of hallway sections on the outside. Of course, although I call it a conservatory, it still has the roof of leaves rather than glass, because it is going to be underground, of course. This whole central area, as well as the exterior portion and parts of the corridors, are going to be filled with jigsaw blocks that get handled by these structures way over here. All of these structures are just the jigsaw blocks to handle all the various connections and little small pieces that will populate the inside of the garden complex, and then the builds are going to get overlaid on top of those. There isn't any specific advantage to doing it in this way. I just find it more convenient because it means that I only need one version of each of the builds, and I can modify those as needed rather than having to copy it across all of the different variations. And I have so many different variations because these pieces, all the different configurations of jigsaw blocks, are the main ways that we handle complicated navigation and ensure that we have exactly one end portal room. Basically, the starting staircase is going to generate one of these type 1 complexes down here on the floor, and then each of those has only 2 possible entrances into that complex, in this case, a garden complex. Only one of the doorways from the garden complex, the one marked with a diamond block there, is the one that's going to generate another type 1 complex, which is this second layer right here, and those eventually are going to lead to the portal room. You'll see we have more diamond blocks there. Any of these jigsaw blocks that have a copper block in front of them represent what's going to lead to a Type 3 complex, which is new to the Forest Stronghold. Whereas previous strongholds have had a chance for library rooms to generate attached to any complex throughout the stronghold, the Forest Stronghold is only going to have library rooms at the very end of these chains of Type 3 complexes, which is this group up here at the top. Each slice here represents exactly one configuration, one variation of the same kind of group of potential doorways. So you'll see that the emerald blocks that represent the possible entrances into this complex are in the same position for this Type 1 complex, this Type 1 complex, and this Type 3 complex. And similarly, we have a diamond block here, and then a gold block representing a potential library room spawn. That way, there's enough variety to keep new players on their toes so they can't just immediately beeline from the 1 or 2 possible entrances into that complex to the only correct option that will eventually lead to the portal room or a library room. Instead, they'll have to learn all 3 variations of each complex that can appear in the stronghold in order to master their navigation and be able to expertly travel from the starting staircase to the eventual portal room. All that should be very doable if someone wants to put in the time, but for those that don't want to put in the time, there's still enough variety and excitement to reward and necessitate exploration. Let's take everything we've built here and head into a test world to see how it generates so far. Okay, yeah, this is about what I expected. Very wonky shape and quite a bit more stretched out than it's actually going to be once completed. But because we don't have any of the library rooms or the portal room right now, it's trying to generate those rooms, but it can't because they don't exist. So it just generates what it can until eventually it runs out of room. We do have a starting staircase here that's going into this first Type 1 complex. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 branches. So one of these is going to a Type 2 complex, probably this one here. That looks like it because it doesn't have any other branches coming off from it. And then all the rest are leading to, or trying to lead to, either a library room or the portal room. This very unlucky chain right here is clearly the one that's trying to go to the portal room, and that's happening just because we don't have the fallbacks set up yet for all the template pools, because we don't have, for one, the portal room, as well as all the complex types made yet. All these other ones are having an easier time because they have more pool options and their fallbacks are set up slightly differently because they are less guaranteed than the portal room. They're less important. I have to set up the portal chain, the Type 1 chain, slightly differently. And because it's having difficulty finding room and because that portal room doesn't exist yet, we just end up with this big long chain. For all the rest, since there does happen to be room, and since they have more options at their disposal, they are able to generate these very ugly chains of staircases that eventually lead to their Type 3 complex. We get a Type 2 complex branching out from there, and then they try to generate that library room or just more Type 3 complexes, and simply cannot. And that's how we get these big long chains branching out and then ending and going nowhere. Let's try flying into this starting staircase and go into that first Type 1 complex and see how things are looking. The leaf particles already, I feel like, add just so much ambiance into this room. You'll notice that the stone bricks are getting a random assortment of mossy and cracked stone bricks, and the polished granite is getting partially replaced with granite as well, with a little bit of randomness too. All of that randomness is being handled with processors so that I can just build a very basic form of the structure, and then there can be a bunch of randomness applied later. I'll also make note of the resin bricks that I'm using for the floor, some of which are getting replaced randomly with blocks of resin. I know a lot of you have been very excited for a Pale Garden Stronghold, but like I said in the Swamp Stronghold video, I don't have plans to make a Pale Garden specific stronghold. Instead, the Forest Stronghold is going to generate in all of the forest type biomes, including the Pale Garden. To compensate for this, the Forest Stronghold is going to feature elements of all of the forest biomes, and so that includes using the resin bricks for the floor. I also plan on using processors to replace the oak leaves and oak wood that I'm using to decorate all of these rooms and complexes and hallways with the other tree types. So there might be cherry rooms and pale oak rooms and spruce rooms. Exactly how I'm going to do that, I'm not entirely sure. It might just be totally random, but I have some other ideas that I'm considering too. Before we get on to that though, while those really long chains at the end are obviously going to be fixed once we add the portal room and library rooms, these long chains that are kinda in the middle of the structure that connect the Type 1 complex to the Type 3 complexes aren't particularly desirable either, and those are going to be most easily fixed by just adding more varieties of complexes that have different configurations of their doorways. I also want to start working on some of the decorative elements that are going to fill the whole complex, and particularly this conservatory section here. So let's get started on some of those. I've got two more complexes here, the Colosseum and the Tower, as well as some filler pieces that I'm using to populate and decorate the inside of all of these complexes. These are all pretty simple. They're just 7x7 boxes that have some more jigsaw blocks in them to help decorate them. We've got a few different kinds of buildings that I've designed to look kind of like there's some ruins that might be inside a larger structure. These might be the remains of houses that were built inside of a larger room underground. So this one is kind of like a kitchen. This one back here is a bit of a storage room. And then we've got some assortment of pots. And we also have a patch of grass here that we're going to have the potential for a tree to generate on. Many of these also have jigsaw blocks that will eventually generate trial spawners or loot, but since we don't have those yet, these are going to be a little bit empty. Moving into our complexes, we'll start here in the Colosseum, where these top two entrances will take you directly into and over this awesome kind of arena here in the middle. The dome of logs and oak leaves look super cool overhead, and the leaf particles even make it all the way down to the ground here, so you're still going to get that kind of eerie sense all throughout this complex. This whole arena section is going to be filled with some filler, as well as chances for more trial spawners and loot, and again, all that gets handled by the jigsaw blocks as part of the jigsaw structures back here, which look way more hectic. Now, these two entrances aren't the only two into this complex. We also have some hallways back here, some kind of backstage sections of the Colosseum, where there are some more entrances and exits that you'll be able to access rooms or other complexes from. These hallways will also be populated with trial spawners and loot, but no filler since there's not enough room. This tower complex is much more traditional in terms of layout to some of the earlier biome strongholds. If we come and enter in through this hallway here, we have a branch that goes down into a single room over there that's just a dead end. And then we have this room, which is a bit small. It's going to have a filler generate in here though. It's just big enough for one. And then we have this tower section that all of the rooms going up these staircases here kind of surround, and you'll even have to cross over these bridges to get from one room to the next as you continue up the stairs until you reach the top of the tower at the top of this bridge. And all along the way, there will be more doorways into additional complexes or rooms. The much more spread out and varied layout of the doorways in these two complexes should be a nice contrast to the much more closely structured garden complex, and allow those stairways into the Type 1 and Type 3 complexes on the way to the library and portal rooms to be just more spread out and also have less need to be so lanky. Now, like I mentioned, both of these complexes also have all these separate pieces that will get placed first, have the jigsaws that go into and out of the complex, as well as the ones that populate it, and then the build will be placed on top of it and overlaid onto it. So for example, I know that right about here is the middle of the arena in the Colosseum complex, which means that this jigsaw block, this one, and this one are going to generate some of those filler pieces down there. Now, part of the reason there are so many jigsaw blocks here is that some of them aren't generating any structures. You may have noticed some similar jigsaw blocks in all the corridors that shouldn't make any sense. They're facing upwards, so they wouldn't really be placing anything inside of here. These jigsaw blocks are going to generate world gen features. World gen features can be generated as part of jigsaw structures to help populate them and add even more randomness and variety in ways that processors aren't necessarily equipped to handle. In this case, I think it'd be cool if, because the ceilings are all made of oak leaves, that there will be random patches of leaf litter all across the ground. This will help break up the otherwise very bright and garish resin bricks, and also just, again, add a little bit more character and life to this forest stronghold. So it feels like you're kind of in this beautiful marriage of constructed, built materials like stone bricks and polished granite and wood even, planks, while also living amongst nature with the logs and leaves especially that have been here for so long that they're falling and collecting on the ground. So let's go see what that looks like. So our starting staircase appears to take us directly into a Colosseum complex, looks like in the hallways part of one, and then that branches off into another Colosseum complex, probably a Type 3 that is branching off and trying to generate that next complex or library room in the chain. We've also got another Type 3 garden complex right here, Type 2 over there, and then again branching off into a chain that goes nowhere. In fact, it almost runs into this Type 2 complex, branching from this Colosseum Type 3 complex. Unfortunately, once again, because of the way that the Type 1 complexes have to work in order to guarantee as close as possible that there's always a portal complex, we're once again getting this very ugly staircase because it just struggles to find the room to generate the next complex in line. This is probably something I can improve a little bit more with more complicated template pools, but I don't want to go too crazy because we may end up with a situation where there isn't enough room for the portal to finally generate at the end of the chain. This is a very real concern with such large complexes like this Colosseum one, which is about 47 by 47, just about at the very maximum size that structure blocks can be at. And because an individual jigsaw structure can only stretch so far from the starting piece, if we have too many Colosseum complexes in a row, we may end up in a situation where, very similar to this, there might not be enough room for the library room to generate at the end right here. To counter that, I'll probably just end up making the Colosseum complex's weights much smaller in later template pools as the stronghold continues. So it'll be fairly common as one of the complexes that can appear at the very start, but as you get into Type 1 and Type 3 complexes, and Type 2 complexes especially, they're going to be very uncommon. Let's head back down into the stronghold through the starting staircase again and see how the leaf litter is looking. I think this is pretty nice. It's one of those kind of subtle things that isn't going to completely change the appearance of the structure, but it adds a nice bit of character. And I love the fact that it changes the sounds as you're walking too. So sometimes you're gonna get those resin brick sounds, sometimes you're gonna get those leaf litter sounds. Let's come into the Colosseum proper and see how the filler is looking. I think this really adds a lot to the appearance. Oh yeah. So even though it's called a Colosseum, it's clearly laid out as a Colosseum, it almost gives you the kind of sense that you're entering a small kind of town that's completely ruined. There might have been some life or culture or arts here in the stronghold as the people that built it were living down here for an extended period of time, but now it's become this kind of empty husk where it returns to that state of behaving like a Colosseum because there will be plenty of spawners in here. You'll also notice we have a tree in this particular filler room, and that's because, just like the leaf litter, we have a jigsaw block in there that is generating a tree feature. We can go up these stairs and into a garden complex and see how the filler looks in this conservatory. And once again, I think this is just really nice. Helps fill up and break up this space. We've got more leaf litter in here. It also may not seem like it, but for each jigsaw block that has a chance to generate one of these fillers, there is a 25% chance that it doesn't generate a filler room. So not all of the gardens are going to be super filled like this. You'll have some empty spaces and gaps, and similar for the Colosseums and such. So for example, if we come into this tower, it looks like in this room we did get a filler, which does look very nice. It does kind of block some of the other paths, and depending on the type of filler room that you get, there may be some additional blocks here that might obscure the path. But if you break through them, then you'll be able to see that there is more to the stronghold. Not in this case, this is a dead end, but the principle applies. This is already starting to feel much more natural and complete. However, I am getting a little bit tired of seeing the ugly stack of staircases, so even though it might not totally get rid of it, I do think it's time to build the portal room. If you're enjoying the video, please remember to like and subscribe. I make all kinds of content related to custom structures and world gen that I'm excited to share with you. The Biome Strongholds data pack is available for free in the description, featuring all 5 of the first Biome Strongholds. But if you're excited to play with the Forest Stronghold, please consider joining my Patreon to get early access. Additionally, since the channel has been growing so much, I've decided to do an Ask Me Anything video. So if you have any burning questions, go ahead and join the Discord linked in the description to ask in the AMA channel. And finally, if you'd like to learn to make custom structures yourself, check the description for a link to my very thorough written guide that I've made for Datapack Hub. There's also a link there to join the Discord so that you can get personal help from me and the other helpers to make your datapack come to life. This is one of these smaller portal rooms that I've designed, but there's still plenty to innovate on in terms of the shape and layout of these rooms. From our entrance, you are able to immediately see the portal frame made of bedrock here from this upper terrace, and then we have some log bridges that take you over to these other 2 terraces before finally you take the ladder down into the central chamber, which has the staircase up to the portal frame suspended over the pool of lava. There are jigsaw blocks down here that are guaranteed to generate some loot, as well as jigsaws to generate some of the boss level of trial spawners once we create those. And of course we have all of these jigsaw blocks that are just kind of peppered everywhere to generate those leaf litter features. Now you may be wondering why the portal frame is made of bedrock here, and why the end portal frame blocks are scattered throughout the room. After all, end portal frames don't generate an end portal just when they're filled with Eyes of Ender. They have to be in this particular configuration. So if they're not, how are we going to get the end portal? And put simply, we're just going to do it with data pack functions. This behavior of all the Biome Strongholds has proven to be a lot of fun and just adds a lot more gravity and excitement to opening the end portal and following your Eyes of Ender, which is of course the entire purpose of the pack. We'll actually implement all that behavior later. Right now, I just wanted the structure so that we would have something nicer to look at when we test in the flat world. However, before we do any more of that, I do think it's time to build some of the regular rooms that'll stretch out from the Type 2 and some of the Type 1 and Type 3 complexes. And at the same time, I have some ideas for how we can incorporate some of the other forest biomes, like the Pale Garden and Cherry Blossom Grove, into the structure. So here is the first batch of rooms that I'm working with. It looks like a lot, but you might be able to tell from this glimpse that a few of them are kind of similar, so I expect to make a few more a little later on. We have some of the more basic rooms that are just going to have spawners or even some filler inside of them, like this one. And then we have several variants of what I'm calling orchard rooms. This is one of the ways that I'm trying to incorporate the other forest biomes into every forest stronghold. So there is an orchard room that is dedicated to each of these 6 tree types that represent the forest that the forest stronghold can spawn in. This one happens to be oak, and we have a very nice little water fountain back here. So all of these jigsaw blocks in the ground are going to generate oak trees, or at least attempt to. The birch orchard room is laid out very similarly, though it has a fountain of honey instead of water, just because I thought that was very cute. The orchards for the spruce and cherry trees don't have a fun little feature at the back, but they do have more room and more opportunities for these generally larger trees. And then for the dark oak and pale oak orchards, there's a lot more chances for those trees to generate, and we also have these cool kind of corner pillars that are built into the walls here. Now, orchard rooms aren't all we have. I've also got what I've found to be a very critical room, which is the vault room. Because trial spawners are pretty common throughout all of these biome strongholds, I found it's important to have dedicated rooms that you can always find trial vaults in, rather than only relying on them appearing randomly as some of the loot chances. So this room has 2 trial vaults here on this first floor, but if you choose to break through some of these iron bars and go up to the second floor, then you'll find that there is a secret ominous vault up here. We've also got the classic prison room, which this time has you enter from the top on this kind of bridge up here, this panopticon situation, and then you go down to the bottom that has the actual doors into the various cells, which will have a chance to have loot or spawners inside. Now, even though we have all of these orchard rooms, I recognize that that is not enough to meaningfully incorporate and integrate features from all the various forests that this biome stronghold can spawn in. I do think it's cool and even good and important that you could find a cherry or even pale oak orchard in an oak stronghold. But if you find a stronghold in an old growth taiga, for example, and all the roofs are made of oak wood and oak leaves, that's not particularly exciting, and it might even feel out of place. Originally, I was considering splitting the difference and having not only every orchard room be able to generate in every forest stronghold, but also have every single room and complex have a random chance to be processed and change the oak leaves and logs into a different wood type. But since I've incorporated this theming so heavily into all of the roofs, especially through the hallways of the various complexes and the corridors, I think that would end up just looking really messy and incomplete. So instead, I think I'm going to have the Forest Stronghold check which biome it has spawned in, and instead replace all of the oak, wood, and leaves with the respective tree type. So if you find a Forest Stronghold in a dark oak forest, then it's all going to be dark oak wood and dark oak leaves. Unless, of course, you find an oak or cherry orchard room, in which case there will be oak or cherry trees inside of it. So let's take all this into a test world. We'll test the rooms with the oak variation, and then we'll see if we can process it into a different wood type and make sure everything works well and looks nice. So the core of the structure is unchanged, but with the addition of the rooms, such as right there or down here, it's starting to feel a lot more filled out in a way that I think is really, really nice. If we come over here into this orchard, looks like it's probably a dark oak orchard. Yes. Because of the way that jigsaw structures generate into existing chunks and the way that chunk ordering and chunk loading ends up working, we end up with a few situations where half the room does not have any features, either trees or leaf litter, and there's not really anything that we can do about that besides try to increase the frequency at which features generate as much as we can. Let's fly around and find a few more rooms. Looks like we've got some of these smaller loot and spawner rooms that, of course, don't have anything inside of them yet. We've got a throne room down here, which actually starts right here. You may have noticed that for many of the rooms, I incorporated some downward stairs in the entrance as part of the entrance, so it ends up making the whole stronghold feel like it's just a little bit less all on one level. These rooms look pretty good with the oak, wood, and leaves, but let's swap these out for something a little prettier. So we've got our oak stronghold over there, but here we've got the cherry stronghold. Obviously, it's a stark difference from the outside, but most of the time you're not going to see this in normal gameplay because it's going to be largely buried. Let's come on inside and see how everything ends up working together with the cherry wood. This looks so good! Not only do we have these pink petal particles that are way more common than the normal falling leaf particles, but I've also swapped out the leaf litter feature for a combination of these pink petals wherever there's grass, and anywhere else, we've got these hanging cherry leaves from the ceiling to add a little bit more depth here. And I think the cherry wood still works very well with the stone bricks, the granite, and even the resin here. Because the resin bricks is pretty much contained to the ground, we get this nice continued neutral tone for the walls, and it allows the ceilings to really stand out, hopefully regardless of whatever leaf type is being used. We're also replacing any oak planks with cherry planks, and it doesn't look like this complex has a tower, but if it did, we'd be able to see that the fences and stairs were also changed appropriately. Of course, a lot of the hallways aren't going to have the ground cover that the leaf litter provides because they aren't made of grass, and so the pink petals can't generate on them, but I've tried to incorporate grass in enough places that you still should see them pretty often, even if you're not in a garden or a coliseum. We do have a prison room here, so we actually can see some of the fences here have been changed to be the cherry fences, which looks beautiful. I think this looks really nice. I'm actually really impressed with how well the cherry leaves and cherry wood work with the rest of the block palette, and hopefully this serves as a great compromise for anyone who was excited for a cherry grove stronghold. I don't want to make a dedicated cherry grove stronghold because it's going to be so uncommon for a stronghold to generate in cherry groves because it's just one biome. While it isn't a specific goal for the design of any individual stronghold, it is a goal of the entire project that every world should be able to find, with as much control as I can, every single biome stronghold. So if I made a cherry grove specific stronghold, the majority of worlds would simply not have one, and that doesn't seem very fun. This way, if you are lucky enough to find a forest stronghold in a cherry grove, it's going to present a really new and exciting and visual experience. But if you aren't lucky enough to find one, you aren't missing out on anything because some kind of a forest stronghold will be found in one of the other forest biomes. Before I forget, let's go check out the portal room too. Looks like it's branching out from this coliseum here, so if we run into this hallway and duck under these leaves, which I think is such a cool visual, then we enter into the end portal room, which looks just stunning. Oh my gosh, the hanging cherry leaves in here especially just add such a visual experience to finding this incredible room. Because we have some grass here on the ground floor, we do get the pink petals in here, which is great. Hopefully they don't catch fire from the lava, but if they do, not the end of the world. It is kind of difficult building a stronghold that uses so much flammable material. That's why I had to include so much stone and bricks for the floors and walls, since I expect those surfaces are probably going to interact with lava much more frequently than the roofs and ceilings. Though it is still certainly possible for these to catch fire and for much of the stronghold to burn down. But that in itself creates a very unique and visual experience too. Now that we have all that sorted out with the processors and we have some rooms as well as the complexes we already have, I think it's time to fill those up with the loot and spawners that are going to provide most of the gameplay as you explore the stronghold. Much of the loot is pretty similar to what we have in all the other biome strongholds. I don't necessarily want it to be particularly varied between them all because of course I can't guarantee that any particular stronghold is going to be a player's first or last. So we have our pile of gold, a standard chest that's going to have some basic loot in it, a collection of pots, one of which is going to be trapped. One thing I'll mention about the treasure chest that I have back here, which is going to be primarily for large rooms, is that I have buffed the treasure loot table. Previously, the treasure chest loot table just had some extra rolls of the normal loot, but it now pulls from an additional loot table that includes higher value items, specifically iron blocks, golden carrots, and some diamonds. These are obviously much higher quantities than what will actually appear in a chest, but to get a sense of the mixture of those items among all the existing ones that it can normally spawn, like enchanted books, apples, and tools, we can take a look at this massive pile right here. Now as for the trial spawners, we once again have 4 mobs that will be spread throughout the structure. One of the more common trial spawners you'll encounter will be able to spawn giant silverfish. These deal a little bit more damage than regular silverfish, but you'll have to fight fewer of them than in the desert stronghold or even in a vanilla stronghold. Per spawner anyway. And since they're larger, they also have bigger hitbox, so they're easier to fight and generally take care of. Next up, we have a hoglin, but it's actually more of like a hostile pig if you try to think about it. I've tried to make them roughly pig-sized, and they're also greatly debuffed compared to regular hoglins. They deal much less health, same movement speed, but less attack knockback, and they also have far less health, much easier to take care of. And this is basically so I didn't have to make any custom hostile pig AI, while still having a pig-like mob be the enemy here in this stronghold, since I felt it made sense for most forests. Now, way back in the desert stronghold, I made the breeze as the intended sort of boss mob of the structure. But for this one, the breeze is going to be just a bit more common than that. You'll find it pretty regularly, but it has much less health than normal. You'll also see it's emitting these leaf particles, and that's to help indicate that it is just a little bit special, because in addition to shooting wind charges and jumping around and stuff, those wind charges are going to give you blindness if they hit you. And this is being done with a new custom enchantment that I'm calling Blinding. In previous strongholds, I've made several of the mobs have some custom behavior when they attack you and apply some custom effects. In the case of skeletons in the jungle stronghold, I gave them tipped arrows of blinding as an additional hazard. However, now I've retroactively just made them have bows that are enchanted with this new blinding enchantment, and the breeze is also wielding an invisible item that is enchanted with blinding as well, and that's what lets it have those wind charges give you blindness when they hit you. This is way more performant than needing to use something like advancements or ticking functions or anything like that. And it also means that I can make those enchantments be included among the potential loot enchantments as you explore the stronghold. I've also made the effect that the ice zombies give you in the snowy stronghold that froze you to the ground and made you unable to jump an enchantment as well, called Blizzard. So they now wield, you can see in there, some ice blocks that are enchanted with Blizzard. So you can get those enchanted books of Blizzard from trial spawners, from the spiders that get spawned as one of the boss mobs in the snowy stronghold, as well as in the chests of any stronghold. And spiders that are spawned during ominous trials in the snowy stronghold will also act as though they have Blizzard. The quote-unquote boss mob of the forest stronghold, regardless of what biome it spawns in, is going to be the Creaking. Creaking are a tricky mob to have as a hostile mob spawned from trial spawners. Normally, Creaking are spawned, of course, by Creaking Hearts in the Pale Garden, and they can't be damaged. When you do try to hit them, they project particles to their Creaking Heart, and destroying that destroys the Creaking. However, if you spawn a Creaking from a trial spawner, then it can be hurt, but because they're not normally supposed to be hurt, it only has 1 health. So I've simply made it so it has more health when it gets spawned. It has about 28, I believe, so it is a bit more of a threat. However, Creaking present other issues. If you look at a Creaking in survival mode, then it stays still. And this doesn't present very much of a threat. They're not going to be very hard to fight at all. Yes, if you're not looking, they'll sneak up behind you and start hitting you. But if you see the trial spawner, you see the Creaking spawn, then you can just simply go to town on it and it won't cause any problems. Or at least, oh, they're really fast. Or at least that would be the case. Just like I added the blinding and blizzard enchantments, I've also added a new enchantment that is unique to the Creaking that are spawned here called Disruption. If you attack a Creaking, it has a chance to turn you around and allow it to get some smacks in. So if you're not paying attention, you can get completely disoriented, discombobulated, and end up getting attacked and swarmed by a couple of Creakings. It's only a 50% chance with the level of the enchantment that they have, so it's not going to be every time, and if you're quick about it, you can swing around before they hit you. Ooh, ow, that was quite a lot though. But with only 28 health, it shouldn't be too terribly difficult to be able to take them out. And since they're not normally able to be killed, I've also given them a loot table so they can drop some resin clumps and pale oak logs. This allows the Creaking to be a very thematic, boss-like mob that will be found throughout the stronghold, but especially in important locations like large rooms or the middle of the Colosseum complex, without making it super duper overpowered. The disorienting enchantment is also something that you can take advantage of. The Creaking have a chance to spawn it, and it can be ejected from trial spawners here in the Forest Stronghold as the unique enchantment from that, and again from chests in any of the biome strongholds. It's probably an enchantment that's more useful for PvP than it is for fighting mobs, but I think it'll still be really cool to use. Now before we test and take a look at how the loot and trial spawners populate all of these rooms and complexes, I think it's time to build some more complexes to help further branch out the Forest Stronghold. These next 2 complexes are a little bit more on the same scale as the Garden and possibly the Tower complex rather than the Colosseum, since the Colosseum is so large. This complex has 4 entrances on this top floor that kind of overlook a small hedge maze that you can access through this staircase right here. The hedge maze is not particularly difficult, and of course you could just break through the leaves, but either way, there are 3 more entrances or exits that you can access from down here. There will be some loot and trial spawners spread throughout the hedge maze, as well as of course up here on the top floor. This complex was a lot of fun to design, and I hope it's going to be fun and interesting for you guys. I've decided to call this one the Village Complex, and it is sort of laid out, again, in a similar way with a similar vibe as the filler rooms kind of add to the Colosseum and the Garden complexes to make it feel like people were living in the stronghold, and not just that it was a big maze-like structure filled with traps and things. So we have this kind of central fountain section that has a little bit of a bizarre situation going on. So we've got a few shops that are set up on carpets. This might be kind of like a fishing shop. This one was a farmer's store, and then we've got a stonemason and a librarian or cleric situation going on over here. These two staircases go up to more kind of dedicated village-like rooms. So we have kind of a cartographer's room over here, and then up here, if you follow up all the way to these stairs, we have kind of a general purpose sort of kitchen or domesticated animal type room. There's doorways here and coming off the staircase here. And similarly on the other side, if you go up the other staircase, there'll be doorways going in and out from a sort of target practice, ranged projectile room, and more of a blacksmith kind of room with a smithing table, a blast furnace, an anvil, and so on. We've made a fair amount of progress since our last test, so let's head into the flat world and try a couple other of the wood types for the Forest Stronghold. Next up, we're testing the birch and dark oak variations of the Forest Stronghold, and just at a glance, the coverage does seem to be pretty solid. Looks like we have entirely birch logs and birch leaves all across here, including those stripped birch logs. And same with the dark oak stronghold over here. We've got all dark oak wood and leaves. Looks like this starting staircase takes us into a coliseum, and that does generate another coliseum complex, so those can still generate, but they do have lower weights than all the other complex types at those later stages in the stronghold, like the hedge mazes. I've fiddled with the template pool some, so this type 1 complex takes us down into this complex right here. That branches over into this one right here. And then we have another staircase going into a garden complex before finally generating that end portal room. So we're getting a lot more natural spread and fill of the stronghold on the way to that end portal, and not just the big ugly staircases. Doesn't seem like we can tell quite as easily on this one where the large room complexes, those type 3 complexes, are supposed to be, but it is much more obvious over here on the Birch stronghold. Got a nice long tunnel over there that again isn't going to generate once we actually have large rooms. There's just nothing else for them to generate right now. Looks like we have a similar situation with this staircase over here. But all of those are those type 3 complex chains. I can tell already that we have the end portal room right over here. So once again, the starting staircase looks like takes us into this garden complex that has a hallway over into this garden complex, and that does happen to connect right away to the portal room. So this one's only 2 complexes away instead of 3 like the dark oak one over there. It's really interesting that this birch stronghold seems to be almost entirely made up of garden complexes, whereas that one was almost entirely the hedge maze complexes. We do have a village one over here, so let's start flying around inside and see what we can see. We've got a trial spawner room here that happens to have a breeze spawner in it, and looks like we are getting some more of the trial spawners here in the fountain room as well. For the birch stronghold, in addition to the leaf litter, I've also added wildflowers as one of the features that can generate here, very similar to the pink petals in the cherry grove stronghold. We've got a hoglin spawner over here. Let's head into some of these other hallways and rooms and see if we can spot any other loot or spawners. Looks like we've got a loot chest right here, another hoglin spawner, and we are getting some spawners inside of the filler now as well, which is perfect. Once again, not a whole lot of the wildflowers here in the conservatory section of the garden, but we are getting them over on the grass patches through these kind of surrounding hallways, which is good. Go ahead and fly into the portal room here and just make sure that looks nice with the birch design as well. Yeah, I think this looks really cool. It's very different from the other forest and portal rooms that we've seen so far, which is of course the entire goal. Even though structurally the Forest Stronghold is the same regardless of biome, the change of wood type and leaves, as well as just the different features that get added when there's grass or otherwise, makes every Forest Stronghold feel just that little bit different and feel special based on where you found it. Let's head on over to the Dark Oak Stronghold and see what the features look like in here. To join with the leaf litter here in the Dark Oak Stronghold, I've also added chances for mushrooms to spawn, both red and brown. Of course, that's still going to be dependent on the light level, just like how they would normally spawn, so we're getting several here in this hallway, but over here, especially near the torches of the Colosseum walls, you're not going to get a whole lot of them, though they will still show up. The dark oak hedge maze, I think, looks pretty nice, very dark and spooky compared to something like the birch, or especially like a cherry hedge maze is likely to appear. We are getting quite a lot of spawners in these back hallways of the Colosseum, so we may want to change some of these jigsaw blocks to have a template pool that is a lower chance of having spawners, just so it's not super duper dense. It does look like there is definitely some randomness going on though, because we have a nice big stretch right here where there's no spawners, and even over here there's only a handful until you get back into the really dense section. Once again, let's see if we can spot the end portal room here. I suspect it's lower down. Yes, down in this section here. Let's head into the end portal room in here and see how this looks. And yeah, this is much darker and spookier compared to that Birch end portal room. The appearance of the mushrooms on the log bridges, I think, just adds some really nice character that you really don't get anywhere else in the Dark Oak Stronghold. Now, regardless of biome that the Forest Stronghold spawns in, there are going to be 3 creaking spawners in the end portal room. There's going to be 1 in each of these kind of terraces up here, and then 1 in the back section on the first floor right here. These should be spread out enough that you won't be able to trigger all 3 at once unless you're completely ignoring them. And since creaking have such a very dedicated type of combat that the player is expected to engage with them in, I think that won't be too much of an issue. Of course, the idea is if you are not careful and you do trigger all 3 at once, then you're going to have to really be kind of juggling your eyesight and keeping an eye on potentially up to 6 creakings at once, which is going to be very scary. All the structural additions we've made to the Forest Stronghold appear to be working very well, and I'm very happy with the variations, the wood type changes here for the Dark Oak and the Birch. So let's get working on finally adding those library rooms. Although I call these library rooms, like we've discussed, they don't really behave in the same way that library rooms in the vanilla Stronghold do, and indeed, many of them are not actually libraries. I've also decided, as a general motif among all of the library rooms, is we're going to have the return of puzzle rooms that I first introduced in the Jungle Stronghold. So if we start with this first library room that is an actual library, the entrance takes you into this very small room that has a bunch of bookshelves and cobwebs, some of which are going to get replaced with air via processors, but then we also have a lever behind this cobweb right here. If you flick that lever, it's going to open a secret door in the wall back here, which will allow you to gain access to this staircase down into the proper library room. This is obviously much larger and more ornate and is going to have a whole bunch of features. The potential for a filler room right here in the middle to kind of break it up, a guaranteed creaking spawner, as well as a guaranteed spawner of any kind over on this side, and there is yet another secret lever puzzle in here too. By pressing this lever back here, as well as the lever on this shelf over here, you open a secret door behind this cobweb, and that is going to generate a room on the other side. So this will only be an exit, which is why there aren't any levers on this side to open it from the other way. You can only access it from the inside of the library. Skipping over this one for a second, we have what I'm calling the crypt room. This has a bit of a small maze on the lower section, which is where you enter from. There's 3 possible entrances, and all along the maze, you're going to have these barrels covered with trapdoors that'll have some burial loot tables, as if these are kind of sarcophagi of some sort. As you make your way through the maze, there will be chances for trial spawners in here, but ultimately you're going to make your way to this staircase that'll take you up to the 2nd floor that has a much more kind of decorated burial system going on. A lot more trial spawners, a lot more loot, and then up this staircase once more into a sarcophagus, just like the mini sarcophagus room. The sleeping quarters, as you start on the 1st floor as well, there'll be some staircases that'll take you into a couple of bedrooms that I think are very nicely decorated, much more spread out than previous sleeping quarters, because this also is going to have a puzzle in it. The sleeping quarters room represents the return of the color puzzle from the Jungle Stronghold. We do also have the typical treasure room that is largely unchanged from all the strongholds. There is no puzzle in here, just going to be a whole bunch of loot, including a guaranteed treasure loot chest, as well as a boss spawner in the middle, in this case a creaking. And then this room that we skipped, I'm calling the Enchantry. You'll enter in through this right here. There'll be some staircases going up and down that you can go to, but obviously right in front of you, you have this very beautiful kind of floating, mystical, enchanting setup. There'll be some loot down here, as well as a creaking spawner behind the enchanting setup here. And then you have all these kind of reading rooms built into the walls that you access from these side paths before you enter. However, some of these reading rooms may require some parkour or building to reach, and you'll want to reach them because it's necessary to solve the unique and new puzzle here in the Forest Stronghold. In order to check it out, let's head into that test world so we can see how it behaves properly. We'll just test this with the Oak Stronghold so that we're not focusing on too many things at once. I do see that we have what appears to be a sleeping quarters room, as well as an end portal down there. But because of the way that the structure generated, it looks like we may be missing at least one of the large rooms, which is totally fine because I'd rather be losing one of the library rooms than the end portal. There is a treasure room down here, so let's just hop in and make sure that that's all generating correctly, because that'll be pretty easy. We have our guaranteed creaking spawner, as well as tons of loot in the form of 2 vaults, several pots, as well as the treasure chest here. And then it looks like this sleeping quarters probably connects down here, so let's hop inside. We'll see what it looks like coming in as intended. Not getting a ton of the leaf litter in here, but a little bit for sure. And the pedestals are, totally inert right now. We have to press the button in order to start the puzzle. So let's come on up here, press the button. Button now goes away. That's new. The color puzzle in the Jungle Stronghold didn't used to do that, but now it will also. Let's go ahead and grab one of each of these wools. And we'll need to kind of pay attention above that pedestal and this one to see if we can spot any colored particles. This one is green. That one is yellow. So this one must be red. We can go back up to the first floor and see our treasure chest. And pretty good. We did get 3 blocks of iron, as well as a very nice enchanted book, I would say. Enchanted bow, also with mending. Yeah, awesome loot. It's a little hard to tell, but I don't think I see any more of the library rooms. What I do see plenty of are some of the additional regular rooms that I've added that have some of the same puzzles as the library rooms. So if we were to hop down in here, this room is also a color puzzle room that's just a little bit smaller. The button for it is over here, and that's going to have the wool in this central room, and then the pedestals along these staircases here. The Stronghold doesn't have an enchantry, but we do have one of the sapling puzzles here in this room, so I'm going to break this spawner and then switch to survival briefly to turn it on. And that's going to spawn a sapling right here on this first pedestal. If you right click it, then it's going to play a little laugh sound effect and move to one of these other random note blocks in the room. You can click it again, it's going to move somewhere else. You'll have to go and hunt it down, fight some of the mobs from the trial spawners as you do, and then ultimately, once you activate it the 4th time, then it's going to spawn the treasure loot chest in the back section here. Let's fly over here and generate another stronghold and see if we can get some of those different rooms. In here, we've got our proper library room, so we can see the processors working on the cobwebs. There is a trial spawner up here, but obviously we're in creative, so it's not going to bother us as we flick this lever and make our way over to the secret room. We can come on down in here and take a look at the proper library room. We did get a filler in here, which as designed does cut off some of these bookshelves. I think that ends up looking really cool. Again, it adds a little bit of character and kind of ruin to the otherwise fairly put together stronghold. We can flick this lever as well as the one guarded by this creaking spawner here. Open the secret door, and that takes us into, in this case, just a vault room. This isn't one of the library rooms, it's just one of the regular rooms you'll be able to find, and it features saplings that'll change based on the forest type that the stronghold has generated in, and it also has a secret lever puzzle. So we've got a lever hidden back here, and another lever back here that'll open a secret door into, in this case, a treasure loot chest. I'd really like to see one of the enchanter rooms, but I'm having difficulty finding one, partly because the weights may need to be adjusted a little bit, and partly because we're ending up with a fair amount of situations where a library room should be spawning, it ends up getting cut off by earlier sections of the stronghold. While I am okay with this happening as long as the portal room generates consistently, I certainly would like to avoid it, and there is a solution to this problem that also is going to improve the consistency of that portal room generation. Normally, in previous strongholds, I would create what I call a portal complex to serve as a complex that has the portal room embedded in it. I think for this stronghold, we can call it a Terminus Complex that can have a portal room or one of the library rooms. The Terminus Complex is going to take advantage of the fact that all of the library rooms, pretty much except for the treasure room, are the exact same size as the end portal room. And the treasure room is smaller, so it's totally not a problem. This, again, like the tower complex, is more closely related to the original complex designs from some of the earlier stronghold types, and is just meant to look like a collection of rooms and hallways that is hard to really notice and tell is one large room, one large piece of the structure. You've got several entrances that themselves go into kind of tall orchard-like rooms, some of which have bridges and staircases, so there's going to be a lot of winding and crisscrossing as you explore the Terminus Complex, searching for the doorways that go into the central section, where either the library room or the portal room will generate, depending on where in the stronghold it is. Unlike previous portal complex designs, we have several possible doorways that could generate the intended final room for this particular chain. All this is handled, again, with jigsaw structures that are back here, but we don't have any different variations for this one like we do for the other complexes, and instead we just have multiple possible entrances. So we have one version that is going to generate a large room, which is designated by these gold blocks, and one version that is going to generate the portal room designated by these diamond blocks. Because of the size of these rooms, even though there are 4 or 5 possible spawning positions for the portal room here, only one of them is going to generate, and all the others are going to get blocked and generate just a ending, just a fallback structure. Hopefully this will work well both to further guarantee that library rooms and especially the portal room will be able to generate, and also potentially keep the stronghold from getting too large too quickly, which could also be a reason that one of those rooms fails to generate. Let's head back into that flat world and test the final 2 wood variations of the Forest Stronghold. The Spruce Stronghold, I think, looks really cool. The spruce wood and leaves fit really well with the stone bricks and polished granite, perhaps better than any of the other wood types. The starting staircase once again takes us into a coliseum, but thankfully it appears we don't have a lot of other coliseums in this particular stronghold. We've got a garden, looks like probably a tower. Actually, I think this is a Terminus Complex. Yeah, perfect. Let's dive on in and see how that is generating. One of the features of the Spruce Stronghold is it's going to replace all the grass with podzol, since this stronghold will be able to generate in the old growth taigas as well as regular taigas, and then we also have ferns and moss carpet instead of leaf litter, since spruce leaves aren't actually leaves, they're more like needles. So we've got a lot of moss carpet anywhere where there isn't any podzol, and then where we do have podzol, we're getting more of these small and large ferns. And there's also chances for mushrooms, just like with the Dark Oak Stronghold, though not as many. I'm really excited to take a look inside this library room and see how the planks have changed. And yeah, that looks really nice. It really creates a very different feel and aesthetic to this room, even though structurally it's exactly the same as the Oak Stronghold that we looked at earlier. Especially down here. Oh my gosh, this looks gorgeous. This looks like another Terminus complex that has a treasure room. Let's try and follow our way from the starting structure, from the staircase here, into that complex. So it looks like the Colosseum leads into this village complex, which we can poke our head inside of and see how it looks in here. Really nice, awesome. And then that village complex connects to the Terminus complex through this blacksmith room up here, which then, if you wind your way around, is going to take you to the treasure room here. And then exactly as planned, down here we have a totally different room generating from one of the other doorways, this one. Let's see if we can spot the portal room and make sure that that's still generating correctly. Once again, a very different kind of darker feel to this room, but in a very different sort of way to the Dark Oak Stronghold. All the moss and ferns, especially on the lower floor, really make it feel kind of overgrown and cozy in a way, compared to the Dark Oak Stronghold that might just look more spooky. But speaking of spooky, I think it's time to give you what you've all been waiting for and take a look at what the Pale Oak Stronghold looks like. Just like with the Cherry Grove, I don't have plans right now to make a specific Pale Garden Stronghold because it's just going to be too rare for a stronghold to generate under a Pale Garden. But if the Forest Stronghold does end up generating in the Pale Garden, then you get this very unique, visually exciting Pale Garden Stronghold. Let's hop into the starting staircase here and get that first initial sensation as you enter this incredibly rare stronghold type. Similar to the Spruce Stronghold, some of the grass is going to get replaced with solid moss blocks, solid pale moss blocks. We also have eye blossoms generating wherever there is grass, and moss carpet generating pretty much everywhere else. And then similar to the Cherry Stronghold, the Pale Garden Stronghold is going to have the hanging pale moss from the ceiling. Even though all of the Forest Strongholds feature the resin bricks and are going to have creaking as an important boss mob that you'll fight regardless of where you are in the world, I think the Pale Garden Stronghold is going to present a really unique and visually exciting challenge compared to any other Forest Stronghold. Looking at it again from the outside, the garden complex appears to lead down into a tower complex, and that leads into a terminus complex down in this lower section here that ultimately is going to wind its way around into the portal room down here. We can walk in through the pale hanging moss and see how this looks. And yeah, this is just completely different from every other Forest Stronghold's end portal, while still using the same structure. Now, technically, the way that I'm handling all these is by using pool aliases. This means that while these are all structurally the Forest Stronghold, on the back end, they are technically 6 completely different structure types. Forest Stronghold Oak, Forest Stronghold Pale Oak, Forest Stronghold Cherry, and so on. And each of those different structures simply changes the biomes that it's able to spawn in from the other Forest Stronghold types, and uses pool aliases to replace all of the jigsaw blocks that can be found inside of it to use a different template pool. A template pool that applies the specified processor that changes all of the wood types and feature types appropriately. So if you wanted to find a specifically Pale Oak Stronghold, you'd be able to do that with the locate command. Or if you want to find any Forest Stronghold, you can simply use the Forest Stronghold structure tag. I'll also show you here how the end portal works now that I've implemented it, for those that haven't seen it before. There is a marker entity here in the middle of the bedrock frame that represents the end portal itself, and then there's also marker entities inside all of these end portal frame blocks. The end portal marker is going to check if any of these end portal frame blocks have an Eye of Ender in them, and if they do, it'll start projecting some portal particles that lead from the frame block to the actual end portal itself. We can go ahead and fly around and fill all these guys up. And this creates this really awesome visual effect like this. We can place the final Eye of Ender in here, and that will allow it to finally spawn that end portal in the middle of the bedrock frame. It's going to kill that marker in the middle, as well as all the markers in the end portal frame blocks here, so that they're not taking up any tick performance, and then you can dive in and face the Ender Dragon. And I believe with all of that, the Forest Stronghold is finally complete. To help playtest it, I've invited back my friends Macastine and Nice Name to play through the Stronghold together. Welcome, Nice Name. Welcome, Mackie.
Thank you.
Hello.
Glad to be back.
Yes, excited to have you back for another Stronghold adventure.
I'm excited to see what you have cooked up
Play
here.
another one.
Yes, you might be getting a bit of an eerie feeling with where we are.
Oh no, I'm scared.
Well, we've got some chests to gear you up, so hopefully that'll add some courage for you.
Always. Excellent.
All right, I'm ready to be spooked.
All right, go ahead and throw an Eye of Ender and see where you're going.
Found the X.
And I'll meet you guys down there.
Awesome. Ooh. Oh.
I'm already loving the colors I'm seeing here. I already hear spooky noises.
Yeah, that's great because all that's coming just from the pale oak logs.
Yeah, I have to actually remember how.
Spawner.
Efficiency.
Oh no! Oh no!
Just little baby piggies.
They just want to play.
Nice.
Okay, I'm seeing another spawner.
Okay. Let's see what this one is. Ooh. Okay, I can see what's in it.
Oh no, breezes! And there's two more right here.
The leaf particles.
Oh, silverfish. They're giant.
Okay.
What the heck? Oh my god, they're so big.
Oh,
I'm blind.
did they go in the blocks?
Oh god, I don't like this room. I'm running. I cannot see anything. Do the breezes blind me?
They do.
Oh no, that's so mean.
Okay. Oh, there's a skeleton coming. I think that's a normal skeleton.
Yes.
Fast.
What are you doing here, sir?
Oh, pots. I already learned that pots
Huh?
can be dangerous.
There's a regular creeper also.
Oh, oh.
All right, I'm gonna get these pots over here.
Definitely happened here. Did they try to kill you? One of them spawned funky
yeah.
particles on me.
Oh, I got a key.
Nice.
I hear something else.
Ooh. Watch out, Mackie.
Oh.
What? It spawned
Okay.
creakings.
I'll look at them.
And it teleported me. What? It. Hold on. I'm so confused.
Okay, I'm gonna stay looking at them.
Yes, good
Okay,
teamwork.
you can kill him.
Oh, I'm so confused. What's happening to me?
Is it spinning you around when you hit him?
Yeah, every time I hit him, it teleports me looking in a random direction.
It just looks like you're doing little twirls on my screen.
Oh my god.
Okay, we
I'm loving the design of these rooms here. They look so fitting to the pale forest.
Yeah, really cool.
Oh, I found something cool.
All right,
Check
which
it out.
direction?
This
Ooh.
looks like
I got a key. One second.
Behind you. Oh, I heard a sound. I don't know if it's a good sound or a bad sound. there are particles on the note block. I'm guessing. Is that a puzzle or something? Maybe.
Yeah, there's a oak tree. What's
Maybe we have to grow the oak tree or something. Oh, creaking.
spawning here? Oh, creaking again.
Oh, and they're spinning me around again.
Yep. Oh, okay. Okay, I got him. I'm up on top, so I'm just gonna stare at him.
Perfect. Oh man, doing that alone is gonna be so tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I hit one. It was pretty disorienting.
That's literally the name of the enchantment they have. You are spot on.
I'm assuming there is going to be some sort of puzzle here.
Yeah. My guess is we have to grow the sapling. But do you have bone meal from?
Good guess. I have 3 bones from those skeletons, but that was
Here we can try.
a rogue skeleton. So, all right, let's see.
The note blocks don't look like they're on accident, to be honest.
Oh, nice gold apple. All right, so have each. I'm gonna try to hit the note block underneath it.
Okay.
No, doesn't seem to be doing anything.
No, I can't even break the sapling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the sapling definitely does something. What does it do, though? I want to figure this out.
Nice, you said you had some bones, right?
I do.
Oh yeah,
try
maybe
it.
try growing the tree? Wait, I bet it moved. It moved! It's over there!
Which on one of the note blocks?
Yeah. Wait, follow me? Okay, I'll just
Yep. I have blocks.
That's what they're for.
Okay, so we just have to. Yep. Okay.
Oh my
now
god,
it's over
that's
here.
so cool.
Is it on down below now? I like the sound effect.
Nice. I'm glad that we figured this out. Nice. What did we get? Oh, let's go loot.
Oh, whoa! Blizzard?
Wait, blizzard? What's blizzard?
That is the effect that the ice zombies had back in the snowy stronghold.
Oh,
That's so cool that they're like connected.
that's
Nice, those are
interesting.
cool puzzles. I like the puzzle rooms.
Yeah.
They're exciting.
Yeah.
Hold on, how do you craft an end?
It's a three blocks and then 4.
Anvil, let's go.
Cool. I have a Blizzard axe now.
Sick.
Test it on me. I want to see what it does.
I don't think it'll work. Oh, it will.
Oh,
All right. Let's see.
Alright,
Which
let's
way do we come in from?
wait, it did work. I can't jump anymore.
Okay, here's some chests down here. So
Another chest. Oh. Okay, that did not work at all.
yeah, wall yourself in.
Mackie, you are putting yourself in situations.
It's okay. I got this.
There's some creaking coming up. Oh,
Wait.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
I thought
I'm
it just
coming back.
teleported me. Oh my god, the creaking with
Okay, I got.
other
Okay.
mobs is so deadly.
All right, I got my eye on him.
Wait, this was actually a super sick combo. It teleported me directly looking at another creaking. Okay, I'll look at
Okay,
them.
okay.
You do the honors.
Nicest turn to be disoriented.
Okay.
Oh, that's such a great concept. Oh, I got some
Let's
keys.
see.
Ooh, good chestplate there, Mackie.
Ooh, diamond chestplate. Let's go. Do you need some more golden apples? I have 8 now.
No, I'm
Oh.
good. I got 4 right now.
Okay. Wait, there's a wool block. That,
Mhm.
it feels like a puzzle block. Oh, there's a button.
Okay, there's.
Oh, and there's a... okay, this is a puzzle again.
I see
This
some
must
particles
be
down
one.
here. There's particles here. There's green particles that just showed up, like above here. Right there.
Oh, true.
Oh,
Oh,
that was
blue.
blue.
Maybe we have to move the block to the...
Maybe.
Oh,
Alright.
there are flame particles here.
Okay.
Oh, flame is probably yellow?
Here, Mackie, if you want to take
where
green,
did you
I'll
get
take the
them
red. So fire was
Where did you
over
find those?
there,
Placing
and then
the-
this one down here.
Nice! Oh,
That's cool.
I love the puzzle rooms. They're so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice to have something that's not just pure combat like all the time. But I don't think we went down this way, right?
That's probably the way to go. Oh, this is definitely a special room too.
This is a big room. Yeah. Oh, okay. Silverfish and creek, of course. I'll try to keep them in my field of view, or
Yeah.
Oh dear.
oh no,
You
oh,
triggered
okay.
all of the spawners.
No, no,
Good work,
no.
Mackie.
Where am I?
I hope you're okay, because I'm backing out of the room.
That's I'm fine. I'm getting the hang of this.
Coming back in.
Oh, I'm blinded. Okay, I'm drinking my regen potion.
Okay, I'm.
Oh, thank you for saving me. Now, is there a puzzle here? No, I don't think so. I think that feels like a combat room.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Let's pick away. There's a bunch of options here. So.
Oh, more spawners. Great. I'll just run past them.
I
Oh,
can't see
wanna-
anything.
Oh, I found a maze.
Oh, behind you, nice.
Ah,
Oh, creaking.
okay.
I have to really concentrate to not hit you on accident.
The breeze here is not making things easy. Huh? Stop it.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, I think I found a maze back here.
Okay. Oh, like a hedge maze. Oh, there's a way to get on top. There is
Oh,
a
jeez, the maze.
creaking here.
Nice.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm just gonna grab the loot and then run out of here.
Okay.
Pretty risky, I would say.
Good job.
Alright, there was another pathway back here. Oh, great, another breeze.
Oh, cool. There's an overlook room.
Mackie's in some danger down there. Oh, but so is nice up here.
Yep. Nope. I'm coming down.
It's a creaking right behind you.
Oh, there's a staircase. Oh, there's an upper floor. I'll check out what's down there. Wait, no, it's nice. This is a good room. Loot room.
Okay, so if you use bows against creaking, I was gonna say.
Yep, still
Yeah,
works.
it still kills you.
Nice, Mackie. You got 2 enchanted books from those.
Wait, I got a disorienting enchantment. That's crazy.
Oh.
Wait, I have to try this one out.
Okay. It's all dead ends up top.
How do I use the disorienting?
It goes on chest plates.
Oh, on chest.
Oh, so they
plates.
have to hit you.
Right.
That's fun.
You can have this. You can make your chest plate disorienting one if you want.
Okay.
I'm wondering what it does though. Does it prevent the disorienting effect maybe?
I think it will like affect the mobs. They'll like spin them around. Let's find out. You want to hit me?
Oh, that's so cool.
That's cool.
Don't use your sword, Mackie.
Whoops.
Okay, this is... Yes, I recognize this room.
It's an arena room, but a different arena. True, the middle part is different, I think.
Yeah.
Not too bad with teamwork.
Yeah, it's so much
Yeah.
better doing this as a team.
Usually one of us is at least looking that way.
Yes.
Okay, there's a bunch of stuff that way.
Yeah, I have to eat.
This is a big one.
I'm getting kind of good at the 180 jump.
Yes.
So
Yeah, right.
satisfying. Wait, I think I just shot you an accident and it spawned. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I think we cleared it. Nope.
Okay, let's see. Oh my god,
Last,
such a
last one, I think.
crazy room.
Disorienting does seem to help against mobs, which is nice.
Okay, what else is there? Oh, another spawner. I'm running past those.
Yes, Wait, you're back. Oh, hey, regular skeleton.
I'm just activating everything.
Yeah, sorry, I was running around a bit, just trying to figure out if there was a dead end back there.
Oh god, we just
see
spawned like a million mobs. I think I made poor life choices.
Watching these mobs do little twirls is so funny.
I can't even see it because I'm just... Oh, no, I saw it. True, it is so funny. There are like 5 million mobs back here.
Oh my god, yeah, there's so many creaking.
Alright, well, I can take care of the... Well, looking at the creaking at least. Breeze is the main problem.
Oh my god.
This is chaos.
Maybe the strat is just getting in the middle and repeatedly clicking.
Just swinging.
I think I found another way on the bottom here.
Just ignoring those silverfish.
We're on a mission now.
Right.
Okay,
Gonna back up.
Oh.
Yeah, this looks like progress. So
oh god, this is more
Okay.
difficult than I have to gamble.
no, don't go. Don't.
Oh
Shoot.
no! Nice is in trouble, Mackie.
I might be okay. Maybe I'm not okay. Oh my goodness. I think I'm getting pushed into more mobs,
Yeah.
more spawners.
Yeah, the diamond armor helps a lot.
Yes.
You gotta come prepared for this stronghold.
Oh.
Did we miss anything in that hallway, or?
No, I don't think so. Okay, so we came from that way, and I was walling off there. You were walling off here. Okay, so this is progress. So, is this a dead end this way? Oh, got it.
Here it is.
Well, let's see what this brings us.
Oh no. I thought we could just place them in peace.
Has any end portal room ever been peaceful?
Okay. I think we have all of them up here, right? So we can go down.
Yeah, looks good to me.
Okay, let's go down. This is kind of peaceful.
There's one thing.
I'm just staring at all of them. Don't hit me. Okay, I'm gonna try to sneak back here. I know there's one behind me somewhere. Okay. Okay, and okay, there's one back here then. Perfect.
But if you get really good at the... Oh, nice, we did it.
Still got some creaking to deal with.
You just have to keep your back to the wall and the entire room.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, we
Awesome.
did it. Let's go.
All right.
That was pretty
Oh,
cool.
that was fun.
On a rating of, let's say, desert to snowy, how fun was this stronghold?
I gotta say, like, all of these been pretty unique. This one was also like really unique. Like the creaking really adds like a kind of a separate challenge just because it makes you a lot more, I don't know, positionally aware that you have to like, be facing like certain directions. And I like the hazards that were put in here to actually disorient you. So you had to like, the creaking were spinning you around, but also the breeze were like throwing you around everywhere.
Right.
And you have like the silverfish is like a constant like little annoying pressure that you have to deal with.
Yeah, I was so immersed. Like, I completely forgot we were here to actually get to the portal because I was just focused on looting, finding puzzles. So it was super fun. Very well designed, and I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
It was a
Yeah.
good combination of puzzles and combat. It was well balanced, I think.
Good.
Bit of
Yeah,
everything.
I agree.
All right, well, I think you two have earned it. Go ahead and hop in the end.
Woo!
If you've enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe. I make all kinds of content related to custom structures, world gen, and other data pack features that I am excited to share with you. Like I mentioned before, the Biome Strongholds data pack is available to play for free with the link in description, but the Forest Stronghold will be available only for early access for my patrons until I confirm that everything is good to go. If you have any burning questions for me, make sure to join my Discord and leave them in the AMA channel for the upcoming Ask Me Anything video. And lastly, if you want to learn to make custom structures like this yourself, I have a very thorough written guide that you can find in the description. And from there, you can join the Datapack Hub Discord to get personalized help from me and other Datapack helpers. Thanks for watching!